The Bible says, whatsoever a man thinketh, so is he. Oh, come on, someone's going to get this in a moment. If I had to declare to you tonight, when you study and you look at that word seed, it's far more than just something that we've always attached finance to. Every single thought that you have, negative or positive, is creating your destiny. Now, here's the problem. Men and women all over, they have this thing. They think, well, you know, when chaos hits and trouble comes in your life, they say, oh, well, it's just tough. Life happens. Have you ever heard that saying? Life happens? That's not the truth. Because life does not happen. People say, oh, don't worry about that. You know, life just happens to you. No, life does not happen to you. Life happens from you. There's a big difference. As long as you believe life only happens to you, you will operate in your life with a poverty mentality all your life. Because you will measure where you were born, where you grew up, what school you went to, what the color of your skin is, what the language is that you speak. You will be dictated in your life by your upbringing because you think life just happens to you. No, life doesn't happen to you. Life happens from you. In other words, every single word that you speak is a seed. Every thought that you think is a seed. Every attitude of your heart is a seed. And you know what? Every action, which is the doing element of it, is a seed. So here's the question. If you're not happy with where you are financially, possibly tonight, this morning, something needs to change. Because you don't need to be a rocket scientist to know if you keep doing what you have always done, you will get what you've always got. So in other words, if you're not happy with the place you are financially, if you're not happy with the place where you are in your life, in your ministry, in your business, just keep doing what you've been doing and you'll never change. Because change doesn't come to you, change comes from you. So what you need to do is you need to make a decision in your heart to say, Lord, I need to change the way that I think. I need to change the way that I talk. I need to change the attitude to the situations of life around me. I need to change what I do, where I go, what I touch. My actions need to change. Come on, is someone getting something out of this? You will never be able to step into all that God has for you while you have a mentality that believes you were grown and born on the wrong side of the railway line. You will never be able to move into all that God has for you while you are speaking death and poverty over your life, because you can sow all you want to sow with money and it'll never change unless you come to a place where you change everything that God has given you, every seed, every thought, every word, every attitude, and every action. So your money will be a result of the change in your life. Then when you plant your seed, your garden grows. Now let's look at this just for a moment. I'm going to take a few more minutes here. You see, I want you to picture this. If this stage, the Bible speaks about the Garden of Eden in the beginning. Go read it, Genesis chapter 1. God created a garden called the Garden of Eden. We know it as that name. In other words, it was a succulent garden. It had everything that it needed. It was the beauty. It was the creation. It was God's prototype. Big watermelons, big pawpaws. Everything that was needed was in a location called the garden. But here's the thing. The garden had a perimeter. The garden was not the whole earth. The garden was restricted to a place. Much like you and I are restricted in our lives to a place. The point is, you will stay in that place as long as you want. As long as you don't change something about you, you will be in that same place. If you are unhappy about the place where you are, you've got to do something about it. A pawpaw.
They don't want a pawpaw.
What is a pawpaw in America?
Well, like a papaya or something like
Like a papaya.
that. Yeah.
All right, River Church, a papaya. So what you have is you have yourself in a position. And God says this. God says to Adam and Eve when they fell into sin. The Bible tells us that they were thrown out of the garden. How are you thrown out of something if God created the garden in the whole earth? And then the Bible says angels were placed at the entrance to the garden and they could not come back in. What does that say? What does that mean? That means that God, in who He was, created man in His image. He puts a garden in place. And He says, in this garden, I am giving you everything that you need. I'm giving you the authority and the dominion, and I'm giving you every single seed that you need to grow your garden. But I'm placing within you the ability of thoughts, of words, of attitude, and of action. Because I want you, the intention of Adam and Eve was to stand on the perimeter of the garden, to look where there was no garden. Are you with me? The end of the garden. And Adam and Eve were given the creative power, the same ability that you and I have been given. You watching right now in the river at Tampa Bay, you watching by television, you have been given and created in the same image with the power and authority to be able to look at your circumstances, to be able to stand on the brink of that position of where you are and to make a decision to change it. And God spoke to Adam and Eve and gave them the opportunity to use what He had given them, called seed, to plant by faith, not by the planting of a seed, but by the speaking, by the attitude, by the belief, by the faith, to be